Asking we could have been, we could have been. Do 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 do. Just hear crazy. Dun 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 dun. Do 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 do. You are now tuned in to the highly. You're now tuned into the highly. You are now tuned in. You are now tuned in. You are now tuned in to the
Highly Favorite Podcast.
Alright guys, I'm just gonna say hey, what's up. Welcome to the New Year. It's the first podcast of 2019. I am changing a little bit how I'm gonna do my format of the show. So what I'm gonna do is, and I'm super late, obviously we're rolling into Wednesday now, but every Tuesday night I am going to do the live broadcast. The audio will be up by Wednesday morning, and hopefully the video will be up by Wednesday night. So I'm just going to spread out the content as much as I can, and I'm trying to keep as many of these live videos as possible and use them for future content. Chop them up, add them to some of the live videos, especially if someone else chimes in and we go live broadcasting together and things of that nature. So we're switching it up. I'm switching it up a little bit. Live broadcast on Tuesday. That's all that's going to be out on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, everything else will be dropping afterwards. That's how pretty much I'm gonna format it moving forward. It's a new year, and as I promised, we're going to start looking and listening to independent acts, music, only projects. Only I want EPs or albums. They have to be out on a major platform. I do not want it if you only dropped it on SoundCloud. I do not want it if you only dropped it on YouTube. I want as much original content as you possibly can. I want it on Spotify or Apple or Tidal or Amazon Music, whatever, just a major streaming platform. I had a few for today, but I'm not really going to get into it because I couldn't get in contact with the artists on time to get the actual release date, because a lot of people sent me music that they said they're releasing this month, and I want to be accurate in my the date that I say that the album or the project is dropping. And then if they're just incorrect after that, I'll have my own validation on why it didn't drop that day. We can explain, but I do want to be accurate in that. So, and I am taking new music up to 3 months prior to the day of the next show. So I'm dealing with that. Inbox has been flooded with a lot of artists who want their music to be reviewed, but a lot of these motherfuckers don't follow common fucking directions. Like, it's so annoying. It's like, hey, I'm listening to yourself, I'm reviewing, I'm gonna talk about it on my show, I'm gonna tell you what I liked or didn't like about it, etc., etc. Send me Spotify, Apple, Tidal, blah blah blah. No SoundCloud. I literally say no SoundCloud or no YouTube, stuff like that. First fucking thing they send me is one song on SoundCloud or some shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I respond back and I say, hey, you got something out on like a major streaming platform? Oh nah, I just dropped that one. I'm like, but that's not what I asked for. So simple shit like that, man. But I overlook it and I keep it moving. But we are going to talk about the R. Kelly shit. Talk about the Kevin Hart situation right now. We're going to talk about just where we are in social media today, and it is pretty much going to piggyback off of a lot of the things that's dealing with the R. Kelly and the Kevin Hart situations and a lot of other situations where we are in social media. I'm going to talk about co-parenting. I want to just try to dig into the minds of some people if I get some responses back, or I'll just give my own personal experience on co-parenting with someone of, obviously, when it's with someone outside of your home, like if you and your the parent of your child, you guys are no longer together. So I want to talk about that and just managing those situations when they get ugly. So I want to talk about some of that stuff. And my hair's nappy as shit. That's a fact. I fucking washed it and just let it do its own thing. And I feel like now, looking at it, only white people is allowed to do that. So I don't care though. I'll probably do it again. Um, so I'm still sharing this link a few times across. I just want to try to get a couple more people involved, and then I'll keep it moving, man. I don't care if I end up talking to myself for the next however long I'm going to be doing the podcast. But yeah, new format. Always gonna go live. Always gonna go live. That's gonna be the only thing I do on a Tuesday. Wednesday, everything else will drop. The audio in the morning, the visual hopefully by the evening. Uh, if YouTube gets its shit together, because I've been trying to upload um Empire We Trust literally since this morning. It's been sitting on processing. We have a link and it's just been processing, but I try to dig in and find out why. I said it was an issue with YouTube and the servers and all the new content rolling in for the new year. I don't give a fuck. YouTube, get your shit together. Like, you have to get it together, because it's literally just been sitting trying to upload the entire day, and it's pushing back their timeline for our show over there, and that's bullshit. It was actually a really, really good show, and I wanted to get a lot of feedback from that today too, and actually discuss some things. But obviously, I can't really talk about the visual portion of it because it has yet to be seen by anyone, and it's pissing me off. So neither here nor there though. So guys, welcome. This is the Highly Flavored Podcast. This is episode number 16. Episode number 16. Welcome to 2019, guys. I actually was going to start this up next week, but I decided I just need to get it off the ground and keep it moving. Let's briefly discuss this R. Kelly thing. Hopefully it's brief. It's a scary topic for me to talk about because I have my different viewpoints on different people. So, you know, all 6 episodes, I watched them all. I watched them all on Sunday, 6 hours straight. That's all I did before I did the podcast with my guys over on Empower We Trust, because they were going to talk about it and they were like, watch it. I wasn't going to watch it at all. I feel like I know enough about R. Kelly's past to be like, he's a nasty man, blah, blah, blah. And I just kept it moving. That's just how I've been moving. And now watching the doc, I still feel the same way as far as, I've been was like, fuck that, even though I'm like, TP2.com is the greatest R&B album of all time, and blah, blah. Okay, I can move past that because it's not like it's something that I play every day. I can live with. I can live without it playing all the time, but I will acknowledge what it is as a musical masterpiece. Aside from that, the man, R. Kelly, the man, fucking Robert, super disgusting. And then watching the doc made me realize, I guess I can sprinkle in the social media stuff with this too as well. Watching the doc made me realize how important or how big or how major social media is today, because a lot of the girls from early on, a lot of them were saying that, oh, I was clueless about the stuff that happened with like him and Aaliyah. I was clueless about her being married and changing her age and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, how could you? I knew that, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, did I know that? I can't remember if I knew that growing up and living through it, or if I knew that in time afterwards and just looking back on his past. I'm not really. I can't really recall myself, but just me thinking, I feel like I knew that at some point early enough before all of this. I just feel like, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like they should have known. So it was like I didn't know what he was doing with it, like that the situation with Aaliyah, and they came around, and obviously he's a megastar, and no one really said it. No one really ever uttered the words, but they were involved in like the groupie culture. Let's get that out there first, and let's get this out there too. I'm not defending R. Kelly. I'm just trying to create what is it? I'm trying to create a scene where we understand more of how things slipped through the cracks at that time so much that now for us we like, what the fuck are you talking about? I would have known. I can see it. So they were in the groupie culture. R. Kelly was a rising star at one point. even sick at that time, visiting high school, this and the third, but you're still looking at the groupie culture. The little girls who loved him, some of them didn't even know who he was. Some of them like, who's that? Because they didn't have access. They didn't have cell phones and saying, oh, this R. Kelly, he's popping in the city. Like when Uzi started popping here and all the little girls was like, oh, that's Uzi, we from Philly, and they hype because it's something they feel like they can reach out and touch and they're close. Granted, Uzi's young, but I'm just giving an example. So they're going through that time period where he's hanging out at the school, he's taking girls back to the studio, blah blah blah. But he's older. He's older than them. He's 19 or whatever case may be, 19, 20, 21. They're still 14, 15, 16, maybe 17. Um, they go through all of that, and in the beginning, there's the one girl that was like there who was in like she was like one of his singers or something like that, and I'm like, she's telling her story, and but she never said like I can't remember all their name. I can't remember her name, but she never said like he did anything to her. From what I remember watching, the one girl that was like super in love with Aaliyah and treated like a child, and then Sparkle's niece, she loved her so much. All this other stuff, I can't remember her name, but they go on, and she was around for a lot of the early stages, from what I understand, even up to him being seen having sex with Aaliyah in the on the tour bus. So she was around prior to seeing a lot of the activities going on. I'm like, well, did he ever do anything with her? Like, I can't recall her ever saying like, yeah, me and him used to have sex all the time. So I'm like, okay, you were of the age of, from what my understanding, of the age of the girls that he was going after, being a predator around. So I'm like, well, he just didn't find you attractive? Did you look old? I don't know. So we're moving on past that. He gets older, we're past Aaliyah, and then like there's another young lady. My whole thing is I don't want to break down the entire doc. There was a lot of I didn't know or I didn't see prior to this is prior to him ever going to court first. I didn't know, I didn't see, I don't remember, or I wasn't aware of how him and Aaliyah, blah blah blah. A lot of that, and I was like, man, like today, we know when two random people go out and have fucking lunch. We know when one star is out having a lunch with a nobody because there's paparazzi there, or there's somebody that recognizes them and pulls their phone out and they take a picture and all, like, so it's like it's crazy to think that now I can't say that in that time everyone was just minding their business, because I know that's not true. There were people who knew, obviously, the further you watch the doc and it goes into his team and people helping him out and all this other stuff, but then they're sick too. We're in a period now where no one minds their business. But aside from not minding their business, they still don't do anything about it, because now we mind your business for content, but not mind your business to stop anything from happening. It's people fighting. No one stops to fight. They want to pull out their phone and record it. And then someone dies and they're like, oh, I got that on camera. Oh, that's crazy. And then they film them dying the entire time. They don't get off of their phone and call the cops or nothing. Like, they film them until they're deaf. That's the era that we live in. We are irresponsible with something that could be used for so much more than just filming everyone's demise. That's I guess that's my greater point. So we go forward into this doc, and Sparkle introduced her niece, and she knew, and she was like, I don't want her around him alone. And then the one time she courted there early, she knew, and that's when I started thinking like, money, man, money does a lot, because like I'm still trying to get my career off the ground, and they go through the doc and it's like it's sick, and then it comes to find out that that was in the girl that was in the video, the famous video, was her niece. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I would have tried to kill that man. Like, my mentality, I'm not even like a violent person or anything like that, but I'm like, I would have tried to kill that man. Like, I worked closely with you daily, and you did something like that to not just me, but to my family, and then to a minor in my family. I would have tried to kill you. That's how I'm looking. That's how I'm built. So the girl do that. The one girl goes, and the other girl goes and stay. And the one girl that was outside of the courthouse all the time, another instance of groupie mentality. Now, granted, these are children, teenage little girls, highly impressionable. All the things you can say to make it so wrong, so dark, and so disgusting on R. Kelly's behalf, because it is. It's disgusting. But they're there. Like, you have a child standing outside of a courtroom while R. Kelly is on trial for one of the most heinous things you can think of in society. And people are asking a valid question. Where are her parents during this time? To allow her to be out there every day or whatever, whenever the court dates are, vouching for this man who is being accused of something so disgusting. But neither here nor there. So we're moving forward in the timeline. The little girl's out there all the time, all the time, all the time. She's there saying hi, keep your head up, blah, blah, blah. And they go forward and boom, she's the next survivor. And her story is crazy, slapping her in the face and all this other stuff and everything. Modeling for her, all this shit. It's sick. It's fucking sick. And she was 14 or 16 or and all of this shit is completely nasty. You know, it's disturbing. It's disturbing to really talk about it sometimes because you're trying to have like this outward look in, aside from just calling it what it is, because you want to, or I want to, be able to dissect some things. Like, R. Kelly is fully at blame for his own actions, and I don't want to ever sound like I'm blaming the victim in a sense. But let me give like my own personal life example. Let's just use my kids for example. So in my home, say if I tell my son, you know, relax, go in your room and chill out. It's time to, it's time to take it down. Everybody go to bed, whatever the case may be. Go in your room, chill out, and relax. It's done. You're done for the night. That's it. And say 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, whatever, he comes to me and he's crying. And I'm like, "Ew, what's up?" And he says, you know, my other, my brother hit me. The first thing I ask him all the time, regardless of everything, and I say, well, where did he hit you? Like, where were you when he hit you? And he says, oh, I was in his room. So I turn and I say, where did I tell you to be? Where did I tell you to be? And he says to me, in my room. And I say, so do you think that if you were where I told you to be, that he would have hit you? And he says, no. Understanding that, I move on from that. Then I would address the other issue of why did you put your hands on your brother? So they're both in the wrong. What I'm trying to establish here is that sometimes being somewhere you're not supposed to be, things are going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like there are millions of cases of that across the world. Shit like that happens every day. In this case, no one wants to talk about it because of the actual crime and the things that are taking place. As a parent who always I tell my children all the time, if I don't allow you to be there and you're there and something happens to you, the first thing I want you to think of is me telling you not to go or not to be there or don't hang with that person or don't do this or don't do that. I'll love you forever. I'm going to feel pity for whatever happened to you wrong. Hopefully it's not death, things like that. We'll address that as it comes. But I also want you to think about you not being in that space. So you had in the R. Kelly doc, the one girl's parents who rushed to the hotel when she said she was there with R. Kelly, and because he was going to audition and blah 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 and all that stuff like that. They rushed there. So in the beginning, because they knew pieces of about what happened in the past, and we're more further into the era of technology, and they can like Google search things and stuff like that. They were like, nah, fuck that. No fucking way. The dad goes, the mom goes, they all show up. Girl 17 years old. 17. And which is like borderline consent age in a lot of different cities or states or whatever, however, what in a bunch of different jurisdictions, the age of consent it wavers, it varies. Regardless of that, yes, you're sick because in like overseas you can fucking have sex with fucking practically 12 and 13 like children, and that's still sick. So in our societal eyes, when a lot of girls started popping up throughout the doc, and it was like, this girl met R. Kelly when she was 17, and this girl met R. Kelly when she was 17, and this girl met R. Kelly when she was 17. And I was in the front of my mind, I'm like, damn, that's still dumb young, because he's like 28, 30. And then they talk, and sometimes they'll mention like, oh, in this area, the legal age of consent is 17, blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay, it's sick, but it's legal. It doesn't always make it right. I got that. So I'm like, okay, I started dismissing some of the 17-year-olds. I started dismissing some of the met at 17s as far as him interacting with them. I didn't dismiss the abuse. I didn't dismiss the rape, the locking them up, the not feeding them. I didn't dismiss the sick acts. I just started dismissing the they met when, because in my mind it's sick. I would never do it. I'm 34. I would never do anything with a 17-year-old. But in the eyes of society, like the rules that we live under, the law, the law of the land, I'm like, okay, well, they said it's fine. So I'm not gonna completely crush him for that. I already crushed him for everything else. I already crushed him for fucking marrying Aaliyah at 15. It's over. So the mom and dad go through all that shit. The daughter 17, she fucking threatens them with whatever she threatened them with as a child, and they go through that. And then later on down the line, she turns 18. All communication stops. It's a wrap. You're 18 now. And they was like, fuck it, what are you gonna do? The sister goes and visit one time. They threaten the family and the sister because she didn't want to leave, and check in with R. Kelly and all this other shit. They go through that. So this doc is it's a little more insightful when it gets to like the wife, which they put it together really really good on how I feel like most of their conversations were one time. Like they had these one-off interviews, and then they took them and they chopped them up and they placed them strategically throughout this doc. They went back on certain things. They placed certain sayings at the right time to make things seem a lot worse, conversation-wise, not a lot worse than the actual act. So it's very well edited and put together. I commend them for that. So you're going on, and let's say the wife is on there, and she's like, they met. She was a dancer, this, that, and the third, and blah. Because I honestly, I didn't know anything about her personally. I'm like, what the fuck did she do? And oh, she was a great dancer. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So they had kids and all this stuff, and I'm like, she said, I was saying it the whole time, like, well, she was around all this time. When did he have the time? And when she asked that question as the wife, I was like, shit. I've been asking that for fucking 5 episodes. When did he have time if you're his wife? And she was asking the same thing. So, she's going through all this stuff, and she's like, he's sick and he needs help, and he needs to be like held accountable for his actions and how he destroyed so many people's lives. The kicker was, of course, we're always going to dig up, because of social media, we're going to find something. They found the video of her hanging out with whoever the guy was in the car, playing R. Kelly in her radio, singing it. Yeah, that's my baby daddy, blah, blah, blah. This and the third, and she's hyping, she's bopping and singing the song, and everybody was like, this girl's crazy. Granted, she go back and they're like, it wasn't yesterday, it wasn't 2018. From what I understand and when I was looking into it, it was from the video of her in the car playing R. Kelly's music was from 2017. That's still recent enough. It wasn't from 2007. It wasn't from 2005. It was from 2017. By 2017, the entire world already knew R. Kelly was a sick, sick man. So there's no bounce back from that. there's no way you can. There's nothing you can say to defend that. She tried, of course, her team or her legal team, whatever, tried to come out and defend like it's an old video. It's 2017. It's 2 years ago. Not even really 2 whole years. It's like a year in what 9 days. You know what I'm saying? Like it was 2017 is fairly recent in posting something about a child predator or like. So they go into it. They talk about the Jocelyn Savage thing or Jocelyn. I don't want to say her name wrong, but I might have. The parents that were on there and all that. And I like what Master P ended up saying about the parents who, I want to say her name is Israel or Azriel, that if you feel like your daughter is held in a place and you really want to see your daughter and you're trying to get a wellness check or whatever the case may be, I was going to jail before. Like if you're fighting that hard and you go that far and you're there, I'm going to jail just to see, just in the attempt of trying to see my. I really like what Master P had to say about that, and he was saying the same thing that I was saying while watching this. I'm like, well, your dad's a grown ass man. Like you, never once did I see him attempt to kick the fucking door in. Never once did I see him trying to climb a fucking window and rip a gate off. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing. But everything's being recorded. You know, it's like one of them things where it's like, is this just for TV? Or do you really care about seeing your child? Like, and like Master P said, even if I go in and I get her, everybody's coming the fuck outside for real, for real. I can see my child. If I see her, she wants to go back inside. She is grown. That's on her. But I'm not going to do all of that just for TV. I went, I showed up, I was there, I was out there for hours, and I'm throwing rocks at the window, and the girl was up there and I'm waving. They was like, nah, that's not me. And I'm with that, Master. Like when Master P said that, I was like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So, you know, that whole R. Kelly thing just made me. It made me realize where we are today. One in TV, just the opening with R. Kelly saying like you're 30 years too late was fucking like bone cringing. And it makes me more aware of how powerful today like social media is. How powerful today these co-founded or founded hashtags are becoming today because of how fast we can exchange information. You know? If that shit with R. Kelly happened today, he would have been canceled so fast. Just hearing that people at the labels were asking, how much money is he bringing in? Just to hear someone at the label say, I don't care if he did it, we can't afford to lose R. Kelly. Just hearing those type of things today is crazy. Because we're at a point now where, look at the NFL. You got someone who does something and none of it's right. They're hitting, domestic abuse, hitting women, fighting, and all that type of stuff. They're being dropped from their teams ASAP. Like the video come out, boom, sorry, you're done. You're off the team. Instantly. And you're talking about good players, like the best player on the team or the second best player on the team or a star this. Like we're talking about like legit, not like the fucking person on the practice squad. We're talking about like legit, top notch, top tier. He did it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that now comes from social pressure. Because I feel like if a lot of this shit was like hitting the news back then in the NFL, which it probably was, but we don't get access to that as the public. We don't see a lot of that. We didn't see a lot of the old football stars domestically abusing their wives on TMZ. Because TMZ don't have no picks. From what I've seen so far, I don't know anybody they won't dish dirt out on if they got it. I don't know any single person. So TMZ, get it. That's your ass. Because they putting it out. And if they not putting it out, Baller Alert's putting it out, or the Shade Room's putting it out. Somebody's putting that shit out. And once it's out there, someone else is going to screen record it or download the video, and they're going to put it out. And then somebody else, and then so it's an endless cycle there. Imagine if like R. Kelly couldn't get away with none of that shit he was doing today. The early stuff. The luring girls into a studio and then no one ever knowing and all that shit like that. Because now, from my understanding, this whole little sex code thing, these are like adults. These are grown women. From my understanding, these are grown women who willingly go, but then find it a hard time getting out. They just had a video from like 2016 or 2017 with all the girls, or some of the girls that have been allegedly kidnapped and held in this sex code, front row at this fucking concert. Front row. Clapping, looking happy, cheering on. And granted, they probably brainwashed, the famous word they are using, are brainwashed. They probably all brainwashed to be there and things like that. And of course, there's security and they couldn't run off if they wanted to, and blah, blah, blah. There's still a crowd. You're talking about thousands of people, man. If they want it out, they'll get the fuck out. In that scenario, in my opinion, in that scenario, if they wanted to get out, they'll be out. I'm in a fucking concert, my nigga. I'm at a concert. It's 10,000 people here. I'm front row, but I'm about to go to the back row and I'm about to slide out the back door. I'm the fuck out of here. Someone's going to see me walk out. Someone's going to see a security guard snatch me up. Someone's going to have their phone out. All that. So I ain't scared of none of that today. 2004, yeah, I'm fucking shitting bricks. 2016, 17, 18, no, nigga. It's iPhones and Androids out here now. Somebody seen something. At a concert, somebody saw something. So you feel bad for the families today, and then you feel bad. I feel bad for the families a little more today now because we have all this technology, and it just seems like their daughters don't want to leave. It just seems like there's no, like they're there. They may not be 100% comfortable with the lifestyle, but they're comfortable with the lifestyle, the money, whatever he's giving them and all that stuff, the control they're under. And yes, you look at it and it's like it's a hard time for victims to get away, and it's hard for the mentality of trying to escape because you now become a prisoner in your own mind and you think you can't leave and stuff like that. And you even throughout the doc, you seen some of the stories of some of the girls was like, yeah, I couldn't do it no more. I packed my shit and I walked out. And I was like, was it really that easy to leave? Like, even the one girl was like, I packed my stuff, I walked out, I got all the way to the airport, and I called. And if you would have answered, I would have went back. But I'm like, but you left, and he didn't chase you. There wasn't a security guard. Like, I don't understand. She didn't say, like, I climbed down the back window, went through the woods. She's like, I packed my shit and I walked out. So I don't know for the adult women. I ain't talking about the kids who are highly impressionable. I'm talking about the adult women who start off, and this, like, some of these girls like met at 35, and you go there at 35, and then you're trapped in R. Kelly's house, and I'm like, I can't imagine it because I haven't lived it. I can't imagine it because I don't see my mentality being that. I can't imagine it. So I'm not trying to sound like I am dismissing their reality or their facts. I'm just trying to understand it as far as how can a 35-year-old woman allow R. Kelly, then these girls were for like recent, allow R. Kelly to manipulate them so much to the point where I leave my job, I'll travel all the way to this place, I pack my stuff, I go, I leave my family behind, and now I have to call you to pee, call you to eat, call you to walk out my room, stomp on the floor so you can say I'm allowed to come downstairs. Like, how are you that far in, like, where are you mentally in your life at 35? Like the one girl that was working at the radio station. I was like, I personally didn't understand that. And I'm like, but you were 35. You were 35 or 33, whatever the case may be. You were in your 30s. And I'm like, I knew R. Kelly was good with words, but goddamn, to be able to literally overpower everything that tells you you're not in the best place for your well-being, and to get you to stay in that mind state, to walk, like, you walk into a house of women and be like, this is our family, this is us, and blah blah blah, this is your room, call me when you gotta pee. at 35. So all of the teenage girls, I was like, this shit's sick. This shit's disgusting, utterly disgusting. When it started popping up, like the women, like the grown women, the 30-year-old women, the 30 plus women and shit, I was so fucking confused. I swear I was so confused and I couldn't understand how they got to that point. Because they weren't like it wasn't there wasn't one story that said I was coming out of my house one day, some men grabbed me, put a blanket over my head, threw me in a van and drove off. That was never the story. It was always I packed my stuff and I went. I packed my stuff and I went. I packed my stuff and I went. You know, so mass uh that mass movement, just that I was confused. I'm still confused on how that could be. And I think until I fully understand that, I can't be but so sympathetic to those women, the older ones. I'm sympathetic to their abuse. I'm sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to their abuse. But I wasn't sympathetic when they were like, yeah, I was working at a radio station. I was doing good for myself. And this is a time where all of R. Kelly's shit has been laid out. All of his prior shit. This was like 2011, 2012, 2013, or whatever case may be. All his shit was laid out on the table. The second court case came about and all that shit. So I'm like, the groupie mentality still exists even after you see that someone was accused of the same type of crime multiple times. Granted, if they got off or didn't get off, what I'm saying is that you start to look at people a little different. Because even the girl was like, my friend asked me, you gonna fuck with R. Kelly? Do you know what he was in court for multiple times? She was like, I felt some kind of way because that's the person that I'm in a relationship with. And how dare you? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's your friend, and they're trying to tell you that she thinks that your boyfriend's a fucking pedophile and a predator, and it's something that almost everyone is thinking or knows. You're still a groupie at this point. You still have that groupie mentality where it's like, oh my god, it's R. Kelly, he wants to be with me, and I'm so happy about that. Does that still exist today? Because that was recent, so it kills me. But the groupie culture is always going to be around. It's always going to be a thing. And that's what makes it a little more scary. Because a lot of these women are easier to get to. They're easy to get to because they're right there front row saying, I will do anything to be with you for a night. And the night turns into a tragedy for you. And I do agree that if it was a bunch of white girls, this shit it wouldn't have been a surviving R. Kelly doc in 2019. It would have been like the R. Kelly trials of 20. Oh, was it when was he fucking with Aaliyah? Whenever that time was, it would have been the R. Kelly trial of that time. It would have been some shit like that. So I do believe that. So yeah, I'm gonna be off that. I'm gonna move on from this R. Kelly shit because I can go on about trying to understand mentalities of older women, trying to understand how these parents couldn't protect their daughters better. Um, Sometimes you feel like they didn't do all they could. That's how I felt watching these docs and watching these parents explain how their children were just doing shit. Um, and even like at that time, like I remember me growing up, a lot things were a lot more strict as far as get your ass in the house and this and the third, and when the lights come on, you're in shit like that. So that's on them in that sense of like the parenting culture of some of those households. But moving on, so no, real quick, what happens now with the R. Kelly thing? We got the mute R. Kelly movement and what is it, the Time's Up thing or whatever. We got that going on out here in this society. And why now? Like, why do we think now? Why did the director or the producer of that doc think now was the best time to do it? the best time to put this doc out. The best time for some of these women to have a voice and to be heard. You let me know. So let's move forward a little bit more. Let's talk about the whole Kevin Hart situation. Of course, it's not as dark and gloomy as the R. Kelly situation. I just wanted to open up with that to get it out the way. Kevin Hart with the whole Oscar thing, how he stepped down from the Oscar, and I spoke about it before a few episodes ago. Kevin Hart stepped down because he made what is now, homophobic remarks or quotes via his Twitter years ago, and I shared one tweet that it was, and it ended up being another one as well. Something about his son, like whatever. And so he stepped down from the Oscars. Fast forward to recent, he has an interview with Ellen. He goes on the Ellen show to talk about his movie that's coming out this Friday. I believe it's this Friday. And she wants him to do it, like personally. She's like, hey, listen, I called the Academy, blah blah blah, and I think you should do it. Now, mind you, of course, we all know now. If you don't know, you're gonna find out. Ellen is like one of the biggest faces in the gay community and just that community in general. She's one of the biggest faces, one of the biggest names. Of course, she's going to be the biggest supporters because she's a lesbian. So she wants him to do it, and he says something that to me, because I don't see a lot of people really talking about this. They just like, nah, fuck that, don't do it, blah blah. Now, in the past, he said this was one of his dreams to do it. Now he on the interview with Ellen, he says, I didn't want to go and host anymore because I didn't want the attention to be taken away from the people who are there, who were nominated, who are winning an award. So he didn't want all of the talk to be about him and the homophobic tweet and all these other things. Like, I find it to be very, very responsible and very, very respectful. I understood that 100% when he said it. Now, personally, I do think he should still do it because it was a dream of his. And because I think that he earned it. I think that he is well suited to do the job. I think he's funny, while some people may think he's not. I think he's very funny. I think he would have brung a different twist to it, and then like just in his own way. But I think he should do it. But I do understand if he still continues to say that he does it. And recent reports or rumors are saying that there's a slim chance that he changes his mind. I say he just him and Ellen do it together. That'd be lit. That'd be lit and super fucking funny. That's my vote. If him and Ellen do it together, sick. But that is what it is as well. You guys let me know. Should he do it? Or should he not do it? It is what it is, man. I mean, it's his life. He made enough money. I was trying to explain to some of the guys, they were talking about like he don't need the money, so it's not always about the money. Sometimes it's about the look, and I don't even know if they pay you to do it. I don't know. I've never hosted the Oscars, but obviously, of course, it's not about the money to him unless they was getting like 20 mil or some crap like that. I think that the look alone, one, and it was his dream. Excuse me. And it was his dream to do it. Puts it at a different playing field than just they're paying me to do it. And then the looks afterwards, because it's almost like you want to do music with someone who's a Grammy nominated, but then you really want to do music with someone who won the Grammy. It's one of those kind of things. Like, we want to do movies with this guy because they were thinking about him doing the Oscars. He was in the running. But we really want to do a movie with this guy because he did win, because he did host the Oscars. It's one of those type of things where the money starts to change a little bit, and he's looking to expand his personal business, but he takes his production company and attach it to movies. Like, he's doing more things like that. So if you get more people involved, he could have made some different business moves moving forward. That is the only reason I say he should have still did that whole thing. But that's it. I mean, I'm gonna kick back. I'm gonna circle back around and go back into social media. How important it is today. It's super important. It keeps us attached to the world now. It keeps us attached to all the news. It keeps us attached to everything socially. What's the norm? It keeps us attached to the latest fashion trends, all that stuff. So to some people, to most people, um, they would say it's very important. Social media is highly important in their lives. Like it's a mainstay for now. And everything moving forward is going to be some type of social media platform. Apple has like their if you anyone that ever uses Apple Music and it goes into like the whole connect area where you actually connect with the artist, and it's like social media. Even YouTube has like a little blogging thing where you post a picture in a post, and of course Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and then same thing with Spotify. You can kind of like follow your favorite artists and look at their music. If your favorite artist makes a playlist, you can look at their playlist if it's public, those type of things. So everything's becoming more and more social. As we move forward, I think that's how everything's going to end up being. If it's not like a social based type of platform, it's going to fall off to some degree because someone else is going to make the same type of platform, make it a little more social, and they're going to win. Um, but it's also a fad. It's one of those things where like you ever talk to somebody and be like, "Hey, follow me on Facebook." This was back when like Facebook was number one. They were like, "I don't have a Facebook," and you look at them like, "You don't have a Facebook." You were kind of confused, like, "Well, why don't you have a Facebook?" And they be like, "Well, I just don't think that I need to." Blah blah blah, whatever their reason is. You know, we're like that with Instagram today. If we ask someone like, "Let me get your Instagram," and they say to you, "I don't have an Instagram," you assume that they're lying to you and they just don't want you as a follower on their Instagram. And that's okay. But your assumption is what makes it so important to you, social media to you. It's like, what do you mean you don't have an? Everyone has an Instagram. If Will Smith got an Instagram, you can have an Instagram. It's one of those kind of things. And it's like, I'm not Will Smith. I'm not going to get 2 million followers overnight and now X amount of millions a day he has. Like, I'm not him, so whatever. But where does social media rank in your life? Like, where do you hold it in a higher core? Like me, I'm one of the people that like wake up in the morning and check like my social media feeds before I roll out of bed. And honestly, I want to stop doing that, but I can't. And I'm not gonna say it's an addiction. I'm just saying I take long to get out of bed in the first place, and I feel like I use social media to wake me up because once I do that, I don't go back to sleep. So I feel like if I just hit my alarm and lay there, I'm gonna go back to sleep, and then that's it for my day. But if I open up my social media, check some things, read some things, laugh at a couple memes, by that time I'm like, shit, I gotta pee real bad now. Let me get up, and that's my day. Now if I decide to go back to bed after that, I'm just being a fucking lazy pig or cow, whatever you want to call me. But it's not as important as a lot of things. But I don't. I also don't know if I can do without it because I do a podcast and I do music, and um, that's how you stay connected to a lot of people or stay in tune with what's going on. So, but how responsible are you with your social media, or what is the responsibility of the people on social media? That's a huge question. I don't know. I can't answer that on my own, but it's a question where it it should spike a lot of light bulbs, I guess, for you. Like, what's the responsibility of the people on social media? Like, some people will be like, I don't have to be responsible for no fucking body, or I don't have to be responsible because this is my platform, or blah blah blah. And you're looking like, okay, that's how you feel. But there are some people who feel like they have to be socially responsible for what they do or what they post or what they say or who they interact with, or you see something like there's a missing kid in Missouri and you live in fucking Miami, and they're like, let me share this, and I live in Miami, so it probably goes to more people in Miami, but I feel responsible, like I should help, and they share it, even though their share in your area may have nothing to do with or may never help the kid that's missing or something like that, but they do it. So some people do feel a responsibility using their social media platforms. I just want to know, what do you think you're like? What do you feel as though your responsibilities are to society because it's social media? You know. So I want to talk about co-parenting uh, in a situation where you aren't on the best of terms with the other parent. Um, like how difficult it could be, how difficult it shouldn't be, and what are the main stop gates, or what are the main things that make it so difficult. So I'm going to speak from a personal experience. I literally just dealt with some of this today, and which kind of hindered me wanting to even do this podcast. I was going to push it back a week. Um, I have I was having a conversation with the mother of one of my children. I reached out to her, you know, common stuff. Let her know when I was available. I can get my child this time. These days, I completely opened up my uh this time for her, pretty much for now and forever, or whatever the case may be, until life changes again. This is the exact time. I have, so I have the entire this, and it wasn't like, hey, I'm available from like Thursday from 5 to 7. I was like, hey, listen, she's in school all week, Monday through Friday. I am working in the evenings, when Monday through Friday. I opened up my entire weekends. Period. There's no school, and I'm going to keep everything fully available. Let me know. So I figured that that was peaceful. It's like, hey, I'm letting you know now. I'm giving you everything up front, so there's no I need your help, and you're never available. Blah blah blah. I'm like, this is when I'm the most available to help. I'm trying to be as consistent as possible with my time, this and the third. So it's cool. Now, granted, there was no issues prior to uh recently. There were no recent issues prior to now. So we go, and it was like, okay, everything's been figured out. I'm cool for now, because she needed my help with something. It's like, everything's been figured out. I'm cool, but now on the time, I'm cool, but now I figured out something for that day, because the days I could have helped her with her issue, her current issue, it was like, for some reason, it didn't work for her. So she figured it out. I said, all right, cool. I left it. Came back, and like, I'm like playing a game or something, and I checked my phone like maybe, an hour later or something like that, and there was like an issue. And the issue went on, and throughout this text exchange, um, I'm like being nice. I'm keeping my cool. I'm not saying anything mean, and I double checked to make sure I'm not lying to myself. And I'm just, it was like, hey, when I asked for your help and blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, I told you what day I can help. You told me that that day wasn't good for you. So what else do you want me to do? Because I have things like, I have my own household and my own family here too. I can't jump through hoops and bend over backwards for your household, and I have my own household as well. I have my children here as well that I have to maintain, and I can't drop them all for to suit you. So we're going through exchanges like that, and it gets to a point where now my parenting skills and my personality and things like that are now taking jabs, and mind you, like, I am so nonchalant in life. Like, I'm a person where it's like, okay, you say that, cool, how do you feel? Okay, cool, tell me how you really feel. That's me. And then I'd be like, okay, cool. And I feel like a lot of people be wanting like grand reaction so they can have a reason to do or say something else, and I try my best not to feed in and give that. So we're having these exchanges, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's your opinion, that's how you feel, blah blah blah, and this and the third. And I'm like, okay, If you feel like I'm not a good father, okay, that's fine. That's how you feel, blah blah blah. Like, I have other children. I have other adults who can attest to that if I really needed to ask and be reassured of my parenting skill or my fathering skill. So that didn't bother me. If they're in another relationship and they're like, well, I'm good here and this man is helping out and that blah blah blah, and I'm like, good. Like, if he wasn't helping out, you have your own problem. But if you have a spouse and you guys are cohabitating or not cohabitating, he's in your life all the time for years, and he decides to be around for your child, that's fine. I have a stepmother till this day. Love her to death, like my own blood mother. Her and my mom together in the same room. It's hey mom, hey mom. There's no bullshit. So I'm like, okay, and I tell her, I say, listen, you can't offend me saying stuff like that. I commend this guy for being around. I'm never looking to replace him. I can't replace him. He's there. That's your spouse. Blah blah blah. This that, and the third. I like that's what's up. Me and him don't have no issues. Don't put anything there for us to have an issue. You know what I'm saying? Or try to make it feel like I'm less of a man because you're in a relationship with a man who's being a man. Like, that, it is what it is. I'm a stepfather too. I have a 15-year-old stepson. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're not saying anything to me that I haven't lived in. That's another thing. It's like, you're not saying anything to me. My child with her is 6. My oldest son is 14. I was a single parent with my oldest child, me. No complaints. So I've been in your shoes. I'm trying to, like, I've always explained this to women. Like, I've been in the single parent shoes. I know what it's like to be a single parent. But one thing I never did was make it seem like it was the hardest thing in the world to ever do, because I didn't have a lot of help. It was me. And I never, like, said anything bad about his mom either. Like, we have a good relationship to this day. I'm like, that was life. We went through this period, and now she's back around. I never once kept her away from my son. It was one of those things where it's like, I didn't tell her you gotta earn this time back, and you gotta prove to me. I never went through any of that with her. So when it happens to me, I'm like, damn. They say, like, karma's a bitch, and I'm like, well, in this lane, I shouldn't have no bad karma because I was in that position, and I was in that position, and I allowed that relationship to stay as healthy as I could. Never said anything bad about his mom and stuff like that. So, and I'm not saying she's like saying stuff bad to my child about me, but I so pretty much, it goes on, and she starts taking all these jabs. And let me just put this in there. I've never been like this personal about my life to, like, any, like, in the open to, but I just want to try to make a point and bring people in a little bit more. So I'm speaking from experience, uh, and just happen to have been today. So, she's taking these jabs, and I'm like, okay, cool, solid. So now it goes from me spending time with my child to me now I'm starting to shut down because I say to her, listen, you control the situation 100%. The child is in your physical care. So I'm not going to argue you down if you say no. Now, pause real quick. There are people out here, adults, parents. Their favorite line to say is always, I will do whatever I have to do for my child. So will I. But I don't have just one. So I can't get to the point where I'm aggressive, where I'm harassing, where I'm showing them at your doorstep uninvited, and things like that, because now my other children are also placed in jeopardy of losing their father. So now I have to figure out, what do I sacrifice? My freedom and all of my other kids' well-being, or not even the well-being, because my child is okay. There's nothing wrong with that living situation. But do I sacrifice that, or do I just say, hey, listen, everything's fine over there. If you want to keep me away, quote unquote, it is what it is. If you want to put all these stipulations that I'm not willing to follow to appease to you, it is what it is. Because I'm not going to bend over backwards trying to be a father when it's not hard. It shouldn't be this hard. I'm like, hey, I'm available. I'm a father. Let me see my child. Let's handle it this way. It's like, no, we're gonna handle it this way. See, the problem comes in where, and this now I'm getting more into the actual reason I wanted to bring this up is when you're co-parenting and you have the physical custody of the child. Why do some people, because there are single fathers out here too, why do some people feel as though you're making the decision that the child wants to make? So what I mean by that is they say I will always do what's best in the best interest of my child. And I was like, well, what's in the best interest? Is the best interest of your child not knowing who her father is? When they know who their father is and they say, hey, I want to spend time with my dad, blah, 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 or can I go to my dad's house, whatever the case may be, or can I see my dad, whatever. The best interest is to not allow that. Is the best interest to try to sway that relationship and say, hey, like, what do you say? And I say to her, like, listen, if you don't care about me being around and all these little crazy things you said, tell her. Don't tell me. Tell the kid. Don't tell me. It's one of those things. Like, don't tell me. Tell the kid. So that way, because what I do is, and what I've always been willing to do is, I'm always willing to be the one to take the bullet, especially for like anyone a preteen. Like I'm like, okay, you know, they're developing, they're understanding things. I'm gonna be the one to take all the bullets now. I'll be the blame for this. I'll be the blame for that. It's my fault. This, that, and the third. And I'll never bash your mom. That's something that I won't do. I never talk bad about them. But when you become a teen, or when you start asking the right question, I feel like you're mature enough, and I start telling you the truth. I'm not gonna tell you the truth in hopes that you start hating your mother. I'm gonna tell you the truth in hopes that you start understanding more. If I'm not around, this is like if you're not around and can't spend that time, to start understanding more on why life has been this way for us. So I had the conversation. And then what happened was halfway through, I stopped. No, not halfway. I'm lying. There was at one point I thought the conversation was over. I said something at the end. It was a pretty much like, hey, listen, it is what it is. You're absolutely right. You got it. I'm just gonna fall back. Let me know what works best for you. Have a good night. Literally, it was like that simple. And so I go and ask my wife, and I say, hey, listen. And normally I try to keep her detached from a lot of these things as well, because then she gets too involved, and they already have their issues as different mothers to different children and not liking each other, like those things. I try to avoid those types of things. So, but I'm like, let me go and see if at some point I said something that could have flipped this switch. So I go sit down, talk to my wife, and I start going down the text messages. I go down. I start back from like December when the conversation initially started. The gap in time from when I responded, the gap in time from and then until today when I reached back out to see if everything was fine, because this is around the time she needed some assistance with some other things. So I'm like, okay. So I'm going through, and she's like, okay, well, she's following along, and I'm reading it verbatim, and I'm stopping every now and then. I'm like, was that wrong? Did I say something wrong here? Would you have taken that the wrong way? Because again, I have a stepson, and she's had issues with the father of her child as well before, but I was always encouraging them to keep a better relationship. So my mentality was always different on that. I wasn't like, man, fuck him, I'll do it on my own. He don't need his dad. I was never like that. So I'm going through, and she's like, no, 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 no. Then they start getting, then the responses from her start getting like ugly, and she's like, well, wait, why'd she say that? And why'd she say that? Why'd she say that? Where did that come from? You just asked this. It was simple, and she could have said yes or no, blah, blah blah. So I'm like, I don't know. That's why I'm coming to you to find out, and I'm asking from the mind of a woman who was also a single mom of a child who father didn't do anything for them, you know. until super recent. So I'm like, I'm just trying to figure it out. So we go through all that stuff, and I'm like, man, I'm having this. It turned my okay day. I was having an okay day into like a bad one now because I'm getting frustrated. I'm now at risk of losing this time with my child again because we've been in this situation before where it was like, fuck you, I don't need you, don't come around, I don't want them knowing their siblings, I don't want, here's my thing. They come back later and say, "Oh, you take the stuff that I said out of anger, and you just take and you run with it. Nah, that's not cool. That's not being a father and blah blah blah." I'm like, at the same, I still had other children, you know. We were at a point where it's like, I'll call the fucking cops if you pop up. That was the aura, that was the energy you were putting out, and I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy to go to jail because I went to go see my child and he's now locked up for harassment, or I got a restraining order and all. Like, I didn't need none of that energy in my life. And I'm like, hey, I've been in the same spot for years. My number has never changed, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? When you came down from being angry, after you realize all of the things you said, stay the fuck out of my life, my child don't need you, and she don't need to know her siblings, and this, that, and the third. Once you got done saying all those types of things, and you as an adult come to, because if I say things like that and I come to and my anger is gone, I turn around and I reach back out to that person and say, hey, listen, here's what I meant. Here are the things I didn't mean. I'm just saying these things that hurt you. I apologize. Let's figure it out from here. I'm in a better mentality now. Let's make it work. That's what I do as a grown ass man, because I was told today that I'm a bad person. Not only am I just a bad father, I am also a bad person. And that, like someone calling me a bad father doesn't piss me off because I see my children. The people who know me and love me see how I'm with my kids. They know about that. Even when you called me a bad person, it didn't piss me off. It just confused me, and I was like, of all people, and this is to the person that I'm talking to. I'm like, of all people, you're telling me that I'm a bad person, like person. Like I know you as a person, or I knew who you were as a person. Whatever the case may be, I have a lot better, my opinion, life qualities to sustain relationships with people in general. Like, I never thought I was better than anybody. I never held my fucking nose up when people came around. I never looked down on anybody's personal situations and things like that that's going on in their life and try to make it seem like they could be doing something else. But everybody doesn't live the same course of life. Things happen, things get messed up, whatever the case may be. But I'm always like, I'm not judgy like that unless someone come to me and then we're like comparing lifestyles for whatever reason. But normally it doesn't happen. I don't just walk into a room like, all these people are below me. I don't. That's not me. But that's the type of person you were, or maybe still the type of person that you are. So it baffles me, and I'm sitting there like, to say something like that. So I'm like, all right. So I'm a bad father. I said, that's your opinion. It's cool. I'm a bad person. Again, I'm like, all right, that's cool. You can say I'm a bad person. That's your opinion. It is what it is. So I'm still trying to keep it cordial for the sake of my child. I'm like, I don't want to argue with you. And I say, listen, I don't want to argue with you ever. My exact words. I don't want to argue with you ever, because when someone controls so much of a situation, you have to relinquish so much of your power or so much of your personality so you can try to make things work. So this is me struggling to make things work, and I'm like, I don't want to argue with you because this is only going to go back to where we were. I won't be able to see my child often because I don't want to communicate with you. You don't want to communicate with me. I say things like this. I say, all right, listen. When they're not in school or whatever the case may be, let them know that they can call me at any time. If I'm working, I won't answer, but any other time, they're always free to talk to me. And I get back, they're a child and they're not responsible for calling you. You should call them. And I'm like, it's 20 fucking 19. You're trying to tell me a child can't pick up a phone to contact their parent? So what you're saying is I always have to contact you to speak to them. I don't want to do that. That, and I don't know when you guys are free all the time. So when you're free, reach out. What's wrong with that? My son reached out to his mom whenever he feels like it. Like, that's it. She don't fucking call me and be like, hey, let me talk to my child. He called her. He texts her. She randomly contacts me about stuff. So that's my adult mind. That's where I'm at in life. That's my mentality of co-parenting and things like that, making things easy. It's like, okay, you know, if his phone's not on, his phone's off, or it's broken, or whatever the case may be, he'll come to me and say, hey, Dad, can I call my mom? I'm like, here, yeah, sure, cool. I never went to her and be like, he shouldn't be calling you. You should be calling him. He's a child. That's fucking retarded. Do you understand the mentality of kids where it's like their attention span it differs? Like, they're not walking around all day like, I want to speak to my mom. I want to speak to my dad. I want to speak to my... Like, they're living life. They're having fun. They're playing video games. They're going to school. And then one random time they'll say, hey, can I talk to my mom? You're like, yeah, cool. Then it go a couple days or a week, whatever the case may be, and it pop back up and say, hey, can I? And you're like, okay, cool. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm saying. It's co-parenting. I'm not saying like every day when they get out of school at 5 o'clock, have them call. I'm like, nah. And I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that for you because you have your own life, your own family you're building and spouse. So I'm like, I don't want to be the distraction of like, or I don't want to be on robotic phone calls that I'm calling home from prison every day 5:15. Your dad's gonna call. Like, that's fucking trash. I'm trying to have things be a lot like organic. I want things to be a lot more organic. You know what I'm saying? When a child wants to call me, I'm here. Period. That's all I say. What was wrong with that? That was a whole fucking song and dance. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Fuck it. It is what it is. So you just want me to reach out to you? Cool. I'm like relinquishing all of these fucking free ass life, just life things like a phone call. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's a fucking phone call, a video chat, whatever the case may be. It's any fucking thing. So to say like a kid shouldn't be reaching out to their parent, that's fucking stupid. I'm like, why not? What happens when you so all that's supposed to change when you become 18, 19, 20, 21, grown out the house is like, it's like, the you get into the mentality of like, I gotta call home. Let me call home and talk to my mom. I haven't seen her in a while because I moved out. I'm grown. I lived away. Let me call and check on my mom. Let me call and check on my dad. When you're grown, what's wrong with doing that when you're a child? What's wrong with if your other parent don't live in the house with you? What's wrong with calling and be like, hey mom, hey dad, or whatever case may be, they don't live with you. What's wrong with that? That's all I was saying. I'm like, I was so fucking confused. Like, really? You're so fucking thrown off? Now, mind you, I have multiple children. So I'm sitting here speaking from a place of experience, but my experience in life isn't wanted because you think you know everything from having one child. You have one child who you poured everything into, and that's fucking great. That's great. As you should. You got one child, you pour all the love in, you pour in all of the life experiences you can, all the tutorings and teachings and blah, blah, blah. Cool. But you're talking to someone with multiple children already before that child. And I'm like, hey, it doesn't always work that way. I've been in that type of situation. I've been in this type of situation. I've been in this type of situation. I'm in this situation. It's like one of those, it's like, even if you want to act like you don't like me or you don't like me or whatever the case may be, you can never discount experience in life. You can never discount experience. I've been in your shoes, maybe even worse. So I go through all that. All I'm trying to do is like, I'm trying to co-parent. I'm just trying to co-parent. I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm like, okay, I jump back in on this conversation. Mind you, I ended the conversation. She came back with a fucking a novel blast. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm ciphering through, and that's where all the shots coming in, and like, I don't think you're a good father, and I don't think you're a good person, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool, blah, 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 and whatever. Sidestep that. I'm like, okay, cool. What's next? Reiterate, like, okay, well, whatever you think. This is the time I'm available. These are this is it. Here's my life schedule. I work this time. These are the times I do not work at all. These would be the best times I can be the most consistent as a parent to spend time with my child and the rest of my children and my family and blah, blah, blah. If that don't work for you, I don't know what else to tell you. My words. If that doesn't work for you, I don't have anything else to offer you. I don't have anything else. Because here's the thing. Here's an issue, and it's not just with her, it's with a lot of people. There are, let's just take rich people. There are rich men out here with women who aren't rich, and they pay child support or they buy the kid, whatever the case may be, but they don't see the child. And the complaints are, I don't care about your money, you never spend time with your child. Cool. What do you think's more important? Time spent or money in? And let's make this scenario 100% factual. My child is well off. My finances aren't needed. All of those things are taken care of. That's not about money. What I'm saying is that you have women who think that they can't separate the two, or they separate the two. So they say if you're spending all this time, let's say for somebody who like wasn't making a lot of money and can't afford certain things, but they're like, hey, I want to be there, I want to be around, I want to go to the show, I want to go to the dance, I want to go to the football game, the basketball game, whatever the case may be. I want to do all these things. I want to provide as much time as I possibly can, and I still gotta work. So I'm offering my time as a father to be there, to raise the child, to show the child ins and outs, rights and wrongs. And they turn and say, well, you gotta provide. What's up with some money? And you be like, cool. But that's a problem. But then if you're only providing the money, it's like, because it came up and said that you're not providing much for her. You're not providing. And I was like, you mean like financially? Like, is this where this conversation is going? Because we're also talking about the same person who says things like, I don't need your money. I'm okay. I'm financially stable. She doesn't need any of your money, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, what do you want? More do you want from me if you don't need anything? So I'm like, hey, what size sneakers? Hey, what size clothes? I want to buy something. I want to get something. And it's like, no, what's like this, that, and the third? They don't need none of this and they don't need no more of that. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want me to do then? Like, what else do you want me to do? I'm trying to buy shit that the child don't need, but I want to be providing something, some warmth, a coat, a jacket, pants, shirt, sneakers, something. And I want to spend as much time as I physically possibly can. And that's a problem. So, you get into conversations where it's like rich people and they're like, you don't spend the time. And you get broke people and it's like, you don't spend the money. And it's like, what the fuck do you want? What's more important though? What is more important? The time, the life lessons, the showing them love or providing. There isn't always an even mixture of the two. Yeah, most people say, well, if you provide a little bit of both or equal amount of both, then that's what it takes to raise a child. And I can combat that 100% because I've been in a situation where I took $0 from my son's mother and I'm absolutely fine, and they have a great relationship today. Because I allowed them the time to be mother and son. So I was dealing with all of that, and it kind of just, I don't know, just kind of fucked me up. Just the thinking of people sometimes, like when you think that people would see the black and white, the plain view, the to see what it is for what it is. Like, I'm a person that, like, okay, I take my blame for whatever part of this problem we had. I take my share of the blame. But that doesn't mean you weren't wrong. If I come out and say, you know what, you was right. I was wrong about this. I was wrong, blah, 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 this and the third, X, Y, and Z. That doesn't mean you were right. That just means that I'm taking my share of the blame, because I'm not going to shoulder when it comes to raising a child. I'm not going to shoulder all of the blame of not putting in the time, so to speak, if someone told you you can't have the time, or this time doesn't work for me, or this time doesn't work for us. So what am I going to do? Still show up and then not get the time, be sitting outside and just waiting, or never get to see my child? I'm going to continue to live and put the effort into the children who are sitting in front of my face until I can better the other situation. So I don't know. It kind of fucked me up today. Like I was like, dang man, we were doing so good, you know. And I'm never like jealous of like I feel like you're trying to make me jealous of the new person you with and all this. I'm like that shit doesn't fucking move me left or right or up and down. I'm like okay, you don't have to keep telling me dropping the whole we bomb like we created. I'm like I don't give a fuck what you create. You could have fucking built Noah's Ark. I still want to see my child. I don't give a fuck. You know, and I'm like, and now you're just like, and I don't know where it came from, but I'm like, now you just randomly set out to like hurt me. I don't hurt easily. Like you can hurt me with my kids, but I don't hurt just like you told me something. I'm like, oh my god, my feelings were crushed. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it turns me into like this nonchalant fucking dickhead who says little subtle things to piss you off, or now in text you put things in caps here and there to make it seem like, oh, he's emphasizing this. That was me after that. And I'm like, I'm not here for you. I'm here for her. I'm not caring about what you're saying. I only care about what she says. Like I'm doing shit like that, and it's like, how dare you put emphasis on? I'm like, why are you mad about that? You want to talk about your boyfriend? I want to talk about my child. You know, I reached out to you to talk about my child, not your boyfriend. I reached out to you to talk about your child, not some random shit that didn't have anything to do with anything, or something that you said to me fucking 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Cause I always try to be the person not bring up someone's dark past, and when like, remember when you told me to stay the fuck out of your life and my child would never know her siblings? Remember when you said that? I was like, I was keeping that shit to myself until I had to fucking drop bombs. Like, you fucking tripping. Bang, bang, bang. Remember these? Boop, bop, here you go. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I literally went like 4 or 5 hours without saying anything to try to like discredit her character. And I'm like, this is crazy because like, you're fucking like trying to kick my fucking back out here. And all I wanted to know if I can get my fucking kid there on the weekends. And I was like, I didn't even ask for every weekend. I actually just told you when I'm free to make it easier so you don't have to call and say, hey, when are you available to, I'm giving you my schedule. This is my schedule. This is my life. This is the child's life from what you told me. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If you guys have something to do on a day when I'm free, I'm not asking you to not do it. Do it. I lose out on that time. Okay, she wanted to go with her friends, or she wanted to go with her cousins, or you want to go to your fucking boyfriend's house and y'all were spending the night. I don't care. Do it. I'm just letting you know that I'm here on this time. If it doesn't work for you, I don't know what else to tell you. For now, this is what I have to give. And it's crazy because I'm looking at like other situations where they get a lot less, or they get nothing, or they don't have any type of thing they're trying to put in place. It's just like random fucking shit all the time. And I'm trying not to be random. I'm trying to be consistent because that's my child. Consistency is great. So it just threw me for a loop a little bit when you see someone like when you see a father not in the home, but they're putting out this effort to try to be around as much as possible in whatever capacity. I don't live up the street from you. It's not a situation where I'm like, I can like walk by and knock on your door and spend some time with my kid every day and they can come down the street, whatever. It's not like that. It's like, oh, well, if you want to be a weekend dad, it is what it is. I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm almost a fucking weekend dad with the kids who live in my home because they're out all day in school. By the time they're rolling in the house, I'm out for work. And by the time I get in from work, they're in the bed. So on a fucking weekend, Friday to Sunday, we rock the fuck out. So you're not hurting my feelings by saying shit like that, because I'm like, this is the fucking society we live in. They school, I work. I don't feel bad. I'm providing what I can for my fucking family. at the times that works for my family. You know, it's one of those things. I can't conform my life to work for you or conform my life to work for only one child. I'm trying to incorporate my child into my life. And I'm being told that that's wrong. You can't do what only works for you, or you can't do what's easy for you. Why should parenting be hard when you can help me make it easy? I'm not trying to help you make it hard. I'm not saying I'll fucking want to see my child Monday, Wednesday, Friday at fucking at 3:15 when she's popping up out of school. Bring her to me. Like, I'm not doing none of that. You don't work this day, I don't work this day. Or you don't work these times, I don't work these times. We should be able to figure it out between this time. But if you put something in place already, if it's a play date or a movie or a dinner or whatever, I say I don't want to take that away from my child. If that's what they want to do, then let them do it. If they want to do something with me, then that should be what it is. That's it. That was my stance the entire time, and I don't see what was wrong with that. So, I don't know. This is probably one of the hardest co parenting issues I've ever faced because I felt like I did or said everything that I can possibly say that was right and was truthful. It wasn't like I was just making up some shit. It wasn't like, yeah, I'll be there and then I don't show up. It wasn't none of that. So I don't know. Like, it's, I don't know. I know that doing as much as you can, as equally as you can for a child is important. But I also know that when the parents are no longer together and they don't live an arm length away, a lot of those things fluctuate, whether it be time, whether it be money, whatever the case may be. It starts to waver a little more to the person who's in primary care. I know from experience. And I never felt bad about it because I understand it. I know you have to pay your own rent or mortgage. I know you got to buy your own, all of those things. I'm like, it is what it is. Um, do I always wish it would be as easy as everything could be 50-50 and I could always pay for half of everything for my children? So, like, yeah, of fucking course. Of course. Of course. But I'm in a house now, me and my wife, my kids, and she fucking spoils our youngest son to death. I'm just like, I'm not buying that shit. And she wants to do it and she does it. So I'm not gonna sit here and feel bad because she buys him more stuff. And we in the same fucking house. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of them things. We're like, okay, we don't argue about it. It's not like I just brought him a like. None of that happens because she do it because she want to do it and she feel like she wants to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things. I'm like, oh, okay. That's just the reality of things in general. So imagine being like out of the household. I can never. I feel like unless you're rich, just paying child support or something like or dropping off fucking bags, you can never financially provide more being outside of the home for a child that's not within your home boundaries unless you make a, a lot of money, enough money to kick that bag over to the mother and say, hey, here's all this money, do with it as you wish for my child. That's not my situation. I'm a regular middle to lower class civilian making regular money, doing regular shit, paying regular bills, taking care of regular daily necessities and things like that. So money runs the fuck out, you know? And so it's mind boggling because you want to do more. Like, well, me, I want to be able to do more money, more time, more whatever, because they're my children and I love them and I want them to flourish. And I think I have a lot of uh, things to provide and a lot of knowledge and all these types of things that you can, do to nurture a child and helping them be a better person and adult. And it's hindered. now, that relationship, because of a, I guess now seemingly personal vendetta of God knows where it came from. So I don't understand it. I don't understand that. But I just want to understand people in general. I want to understand uh, the difficulties of co-parenting when the two people don't agree on things just general in life. So that's all I really have to say on that. I mean, I can always elaborate more, but why? I can talk about this another day. I can do random podcasts and just elaborate on things because this is my platform and I can do with it as I please. Um, yeah. So guys, thanks for listening to me rant for the last hour and a half. I am going to just touch back on what I said at the top of the podcast. I am going to do every Tuesday evening, um, not evening, late night, probably like 9, 10 p.m. I'm going to do the live podcast, Facebook and Instagram. The Facebook ones obviously gets saved for life. Um, and then Wednesday mornings, I am going to have the audio up on SoundCloud. And then hopefully by Wednesday night, I am going to have the visuals up on YouTube. And I just want people to be a little more interactive. You can drop topics for me. You can inbox me of things you want to talk about, things you might want advice on, things you think are good social mean of discussion. We can have some good content there. And then if you're an independent artist, hip hop artist, R&B artist, I'll say maybe some pop artists too. If you have music that's been released within the last 3 months or something that's about to be released within the next month, um, I am doing artist reviews. I want to do artist reviews on every episode moving forward, but I need the music. I need the cover art. I need the content. It has to be an EP or an album. Don't send me a single. It has to be on a major streaming platform, Spotify, Apple, Tidal, etc. Not SoundCloud, not a YouTube link. If it's not on those other platforms as well. And then I'll review the music. I want to have time to listen to the music to actually give a good review. I want to pick out a favorite song that I like or dislike, or tell you why I like or dislike the project, tell you what I think you can improve on. All of those things. I want to talk about all of those things, and I just need you guys to submit it properly. Please stop sending me SoundCloud links, one-off songs, and YouTube links, and say this is my latest, blah blah blah. No, I asked for EPs or albums only, and I want it to be on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, etc., so I can listen to it on a streaming platform. One, it gets you some views and some clicks, and then when I share it, it can possibly get you more views and clicks. I am on Instagram at Eddie Royal, or you can hit directly to the podcast Instagram at Highly Flavored Podcast. You can email me at highlyflavored215 at gmail.com, or Eddie Royal Music at gmail.com. So there's a lot of ways to get in contact with me. I just wanted to be the proper way to send and submit the music on the proper platforms. But until next week, guys, this is the Highly Flavored Podcast. This is episode number 16. Episode number 16, the Highly Flavored Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Royal, and I am out of here. See ya.